Welcome to the Rotary Club of Edina, live from Edina Country Club. We have 60 members here at the meeting, very exciting, and 11 over Zoom. I am Joe Hayes, your current treasurer, filling in for Sam Thompson. We have member update. Member updates, first off, we're at a celebration of life for Bill, longtime Rotarian, Bill Kleins, father of David Kleins, will be next Monday, the 7th, at St. Stephen's Church at 11 o'clock, and hopefully you'll be able to make it with a reception to follow. Also news that longtime Rotarian, John McClellan, has checked into NC Hospice, and it's reported that he's comfortable. Please keep John and his family in your prayers. Mayor Jim Hovland has a presentation for us today.
Come on up here. Yeah, come up with me real quick. Just gonna wait. Joe's trying to.
You can do it right there.
We're gonna move. Okay. Folks, a guy named Bob Erickson from Lakeville stopped in my office the other day, works upstairs, and he dropped off a check for $200 to the Edina Noon Rotary from the Friends of the Lakeville Area Arts Center, and it's on behalf of Tim Murphy. When Tim was stricken with his heart attack, the folks in Lakeville care about him as much as we do. And they wanted to send some money up for your club. So $200 from the Lakeville Arts Center on behalf of Tim.
Oh, wow. There's a lot of Rotarians in Lakeville too, and it has amazed me that the prayer and the support that I'm getting from Rotarians, it's literally humbling and overwhelming. So both of the communities are phenomenal. And I can't believe that happened. I didn't have any idea. So
Thanks. Thanks,
bless
Abby.
you all.
Thank you. In other news, Don and Nancy Hutchinson were able to meet their first grandchild. Frankie, very exciting, out in Portland. Is the daughter of Don's oldest daughter, Beth, who's married to Shayla. They have been very excited, and everybody's doing well. I asked Don what his grandfather's name was going to be. He said he really wanted to be called Mr. Hutchinson until he got to know the child a little bit better. And there's always news from the Sprague household. This is a little race. Watch this. So you wonder where they get it from, huh? That first one on the far left, it looks like he pulls a hamstring. You know, he kind of laid up there. Maybe he just didn't want to get in the family core. We have Rockin' in Rotary from the Morning Club, tied in with PYT, which is Petty, Young, and Thing. I met the lead singer last night over at Steve May's house, nice guy. And that'll be held at Commercial Furniture Services off of 7. And there'll be a big dump tank for Dump the Gum. Very exciting. So hopefully you'll be able to sign up, and you can go to their website and sign up for that. Then we have the virtual international convention, which will be on, June 12th through the 16th. And this one, we did pets, and they did a very good job. And I'm sure these guys will do a fantastic job. It'll be very informative. If you can find some meetings you'd like to sign up for, you'll be just amazed at how many, what's out there in Rotary. Birthdays, Jody Kern, Rob Breedy, Bridget Hallstrom, Tom Rees, Teresa Halverson. Happy birthday. Rotary anniversary, Deidre, 7 years. Is Deidre here? Just seems like yesterday she joined. Dr. Dash, Ron Earhart, Harry Weingartner, my sponsor. Assisting off podium, Michael Stanzik and Susan Johnson did an excellent job of greeting. I could hear them the whole time. Of course, we have the Zoom greeter, Ryan Wilson, along with AV support, Scott Blake, the dynamic duo. Then the helping Becky at the front desk was Lisa Walker, and doing photography today is Jennifer Hendrickson. And we have Josh Sprague for Invocation and four-way test.
The Invocation is a long-standing tradition of our club where we get to share a spiritual moment together. I say spiritual because Rotary is a non-political, non-religious, and non-sectarian organization. However, my concept of a higher power includes the love and the camaraderie that we share in service and in this meeting every week. So with that in mind, please bow your head and join me in a prayer to the God of your understanding. I bow to the sacred in all creation. May my spirit fill the world with beauty and wonder. May my mind seek truth with humility and openness. May my heart forgive without limit. May my love for friend, enemy, and outcast be without measure. May my needs be few and my living simple. May my actions bear witness to the suffering of others. May my hands never harm a living being. May my steps stay on the journey of justice. May my prayers rise with patient discontent until no child is hungry. May my life's work be a passion for peace and nonviolence. May my soul rejoice in the present moment. May my imagination overcome death and despair with new possibility. And may I risk reputation, comfort, and security to bring this hope to the children. Amen. Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Play ball.
Good morning, I'm Hannelore Brooker and I have the honor to introduce the guests. And the guest of Rob Brading is Klaus Braden, a student. Would you please stand up?
Can I say something?
Please,
Yeah.
please do.
Yeah, so this is Braden Klaus. He's graduating from North Central University this spring with a degree in Business Administration. And so I just invited him to meet some of my friends today. He's on the market and you're going to want to grab him quick.
Thank you. Our next guest is the one of Jennifer Benarat. It is Alison Custer, and she has an Edina High School scholarship. Would you please stand up? So what did you get your scholarship for?
So I believe that the Edina Rotary Scholarship is just kind of a general scholarship that recognizes, I guess, the achievements of an individual in service as well as their participation with the Rotary Club. So I've been in the Edina Interact Club for 2 years now, and I've also just been participating on and off with service projects and community service and volunteerism throughout high school. So, I just want to thank everyone here and Rotary Club in general, just because, it's been so good to me just over the high school and the past few years that I've been in Interact Club. And, the scholarship's just a really amazing opportunity. So, thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. Our dear mayor of Edina is a guest, but a frequent guest, and he's really the member of the morning club, and I have to say that I meet him quite often at Lake Cornelia. Welcome. And we have two guests that are related to my very own bed, guests of Kelly Burnett and Meg Hoday and Michael Allen. Would you please stand up? Make sure I didn't forget anybody, everybody accounted for. So welcome all to the guests.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the local grants committee, it's my pleasure to introduce you to another one of our amazing organizations that we support. My Very Own Bed. We're really excited about this organization and supporting them because it's a great example of a goal that our committee had at the beginning of the year to do a project with an organization that we support financially. So this is a great example of that. And thank you to everyone who brought bedding for the drive. It's in the back of the room if you still have to drop anything off. So with that being said, it's my pleasure to introduce the executive director and founder of My Very Own Bed, Michael Allen.
Thanks, Kelly, and thank you for having both Meg and I here today. Before I get started, just to tell you a little bit about the work that we do, can I get a show of hands from everyone in the room that's ever experienced a poor night's sleep or had a bad night's sleep? Jeez, okay, that's a lot of hands. Well, to tell you a little bit about My Very Own Bed, imagine folks sleeping on the floor each night. Imagine sharing a bed with your sibling or a parent, or imagine sleeping on an air mattress each night. That's why My Very Own Bed was started. I started My Very Own Bed back in 2014. I've worked here in social services for many years, helping homeless families get housing. And what I'd say I recognized is these families moving into housing without adequate beds, adequate place to sleep. And I'm going to share with you just a brief little story about what really kicked off My Very Own Bed. Is I'm going to tell you a story about what I'll call her name is Denise. I met Denise and her 3 kids back in 2014. They were living in a shelter. Denise had she's experienced mental health, substance abuse, and she's been homeless on and off for over the last 10 years with the time that I met her. And I met them, her and her 3 little girls, and they got housing. They got a roof over their head. And what I'll never ever forget, and it was so powerful, and that's what motivated me to start this organization, is I met with Denise and her 3 kids and the landlord, and they signed the lease, and the landlord left. And what I'll never ever forget, it's still very emotional to think about, is when the landlord left, I asked Denise, I said, Denise, I looked around the room, and there isn't a piece of furniture in this apartment. And I said, Denise, where are you and your 3 kids going to sleep tonight? And she said, Mr. Michael, you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because we have a roof over our head. And what motivated me is to get those kids beds. And I did. I got those kids that family beds. I raised a few $100s from friends and family. And what was so powerful about that, what really struck me, is the change that I saw in those kids because of a good night's sleep. We all need a good night's sleep. Not just adults, but kids too. I saw a change in their overall happiness. I saw a change in their attitude. They slept better. They got better grades in school. And I knew, with working in social services, I knew there was so many other families out there like Denise and her 3 kids that does not only deserve housing, but deserve a good night's sleep. So back in 2014, I was given a small Christmas gift from my mother of $200. And what I did is I took that $200 and I hired an attorney to start My Very Own Bed. This organization started in my garage. It started from that gift. I hired that attorney. He wrote the paperwork to become a 501c3. And here we are, over 3,000 beds later. So this mission, we provide all new beds, twin-size beds, and bedding, what we call as our dream kit. It's all the wonderful items you all brought today and donated. We provide those beds to kids ages 2 to 17. A lot of the folks ask us, how do we identify? Our goal this year is to deliver 1,200 beds to kids. And how do we identify those families, right? So we get that question a lot. We have what we call as referral partners. That's a network of organizations and school districts across the Twin Cities that identify that need for the beds in the home. Through the help of volunteers, looking forward to seeing some of you guys coming tomorrow too, we then deliver the beds directly out to the families' homes. I'll end with why. Why do we do this work? We do this work because of the power of a good night's sleep. As I mentioned, we all need a good night's sleep, and these kids are no different. So that's what motivates us as an organization to continue to make an impact in our community and give kids a good night's sleep. So I appreciate you all supporting our work. at my very own bed. Thanks for having us.
Good afternoon, everybody. Well, it's been a while since we provided an update on Moses. And in fact, it was back in December of 2017 when Moses was here for a visit. He visited our club, and we also celebrated his 13th birthday on December 15th at Dwayne and Sandy Schley's, and it was a party that was covered by Care 11. And that was a story, that story was an update to the Care 11 story done 7 years prior, when Moses came to Minnesota for life-changing surgery on his eyes, thanks to Edina Rotary and many others. I know that most of you are familiar with the story of Moses, but for some of our newer members and some of our guests here today, the story of Moses is one of the most inspiring Rotary stories in my 22 years as a Rotarian. The Cliff Note version of the story begins when Sandy Schley was on a trip in Kenya for a water project our club was involved. During her first trip, she remembered meeting a young boy with terribly crossed eyes. The little boy stuck in her mind, and when she returned the following years, as fate would have it, she came across him again. She got to know him and brought the story back to the club. Before you knew it, Dr. Charlie Bear suggested we bring him here to have his eyes fixed. Brad Beard, the president of Fairview Southfield Hospital, said they would provide the facilities. Tom Bach at Delta said they'd provide the flights. Tim Murphy took on the task of figuring out how to get this little guy without a passport from there to here, and many others stepped in as well. So the story of Moses in Edina Rotary began. His eyes were fixed, he had glasses, and he now had a ton of new friends here in Edina. His energy was infectious, and we all fell in love with him. After Moses went back to Kenya, several of us were talking and wondered what else we might do to help him. The idea of providing him an education was raised, and at our fall fundraiser that year, we asked to raise funds to send Moses to a private boarding school. In a matter of a few minutes, we raised over $25,000 for this effort. Moses was able to attend Green Garden School, and last year began attending Langata High School in Kenya. A group of us we call Team Moses, which consists of Sandy Schley, Tim Murphy, Angelo Wandera, Philip Lucaci, Joni Kern, me, as well as Moses' uncle, David Waitheka, who has a home in Kenya and travels to work in India. Team Moses would get reports on Moses from Green Garden School and from David Waitheka. We'd review all the related expenses before approving them for payment. But our greatest interest was how Moses was doing in school. We knew he had some struggles, and we were not able to get enough information to have a good understanding of how he was doing and what he needed. Over the last 6 months, Sandy, David Waitheka, and I have engaged the help of Dr. Naomi Wangai, a teacher in Kenya, who ironically was David's teacher in the same school Moses is now attending. We asked if Dr. Wangai could assess Moses for us and get an understanding of where he stands academically and what resources he might need. She's an amazing person. She was more than willing to help on one condition, that we not pay her. She just wanted to help. Moses was assessed and has some academic deficiencies. He struggles in math, chemistry, physics, and based on this, Dr. Wangai was able to assemble several tutors for Moses while he was on break, and this will continue when he goes on future school breaks. The reports from the tutors indicate while he does have retention issues, he's eager to learn and has a wonderful attitude. While he has the challenges, they believe with regular tutoring and focus, he'll make improvement. Our next concern was what would happen when he went back to school. Would the lack of focused attention from the tutors cause him to fall back? Again, with the help of Dr. Wangai, we were able to get one of the teachers at the school, Teacher Mark, to monitor Moses and help him during school and to get us periodic reports. Moses has just started school again, so we're awaiting the initial report. But like Dr. Wangai, Teacher Mark refused any compensation. Team Moses will continue to monitor Moses' progress and will do all we can to provide him the resources he needs. He's a wonderful young man, and with the foundation of a great attitude and willingness to learn, he will go far. We're also working on scheduling more regular Zoom meetings with him when we can. So for a little guy who came out of the slums of Kenya, he has been blessed with so many who care about him and are here to help him any way we can. And more importantly, we have been blessed with his energy and watching him through his perseverance through so much. because of all of you and the support you've given, this young man will go on to do many great things. We'll continue to give reports to the board, and hopefully another report soon, and with some luck, maybe another visit by Moses. Thanks.
Hey, Michael, I'm glad to hear you got that lawyer for $200 to do that whole thing, because Kip Peterson, you would have got 13 minutes with him, and you would have got about 9 minutes with Mike Callis, so you got a good deal. So another great story we're here to share with you is from the Guatemala Trip. And 10 of us journeyed from Minnesota almost straight down to Guatemala. It's about 2,000 or 2,500 miles, something like that, down just below Mexico, a very tropical region. And as you can see from the picture here, this is where we arrived in Guatemala City. There's lots of volcanoes. This is the Pacaya volcano, but there's many active volcanoes, and they actually have had several national tragedies with volcano eruptions in the last few years. But what the team does here is we fly into Guatemala, share a nice dinner together, and then the next day we go on a tour of the city. This is not just any tour, this is a social justice tour. For those of you that don't know, there was a civil war in Guatemala from 1960 to 1996, and over 200,000 people were killed. Most of those were assassinations of native peoples, which many refer to as the silent Holocaust. And so there are many locations, memorials around the city that pay tribute to the people that not only vocalize this tragedy and all of the humanitarian murders and genocide that occurred, but there's also museums to the Civil War. Actually, on the same street as the Holocaust Memorial Museum in the city is the memorial to the Civil War Holocaust in Guatemala. Pretty moving. Then we headed off in a bus 5 hours away, deep into the mountains of northern Guatemala to a place called Coban. We stay at this beautiful monastery, which is about 3 blocks square, with a 10-foot wall with broken glass, security on top. It's very secure, and it's like a little paradise. They have all kinds of outbuildings. We stay in the main monastery building, and every morning at 5:45, if you so elect, you can go and sing and share a spiritual moment with the brothers, which is pretty cool. We had all of the filters from this project. This was a district project, so we assembled $13,000 on our end, and then got matching grants from the district in the amount of $14,000. So total project $27,000, which is enough to buy 675 individual water purifier units, which serve households usually of 6 to 10 people, so 4,000 to 6,000 people reached. But we load these from the warehouse at the monastery with the help of the monastery workers, and then we deliver them out to the various aldeas, and the family households are selected through the monastery contacts and the villagers. They decide together which households get the filters. Then we drive. Here we are in our little van. This is our band of brothers and sisters here. You got incoming President Mike Stanzak, driver Ugo, Susan Stiles, Lindsay Smaka. This is a donor of pediatric beds, Jonathan Powell, John Credelli, past president of the Eden Prairie AM Club, Steve Yanda, who's a St. Patrick's parishioner, Shelley Loberg, international director, and future president Jennifer Hendrickson, PI director, and then Jim Wangan, who is another St. Patrick's parishioner here as part of the team. We go up about something like an hour and a half into the villages. It's way in the middle of nowhere. And as you arrive, you start to see people kind of filtering together into the meeting location like this. This is kind of our arrival. And then what we do is we do some icebreaker activities. We're painting fingernails of kids, giving out toys, and even doing a little soccer. This is me with the dudes in the village. And so once we kind of have our icebreakers done, then we start to do assembly in a kind of a makeshift sanctuary like this. This is part of the Catholic parish of Alta Verapaz, which is a huge county. And so this is kind of where filters are distributed because it's a gathering places in the middle of nowhere. People just kind of coming down from the hills to this gathering spot. The team assembles. There's a few different pieces to these filter units. You have the candela or the filter, the carbon filter, which lasts for about 5 years. That's screwed into the top. And then there's a couple other pieces that need to be put together, and so we get our assembly line going, and within an hour or so we have all of the filters assembled for that delivery. And then we get the best part. We stand in the line as they read the name of the families. We get to do hand-to-hand delivery of these and actually look the recipient families in the eyes. It's a very special and spiritual moment, I think, for everybody. And then afterwards, every village treats us to a meal. They were very similar meals across villages. I ate so much fruit, I can't even tell you. Fruit and tortillas. By the end of that trip, I never wanted to see another tortilla the rest of my life. But you eat gladly, and it's, you know, they welcome you. The hospitality in this country is unbelievable. You're really giving them life-saving clean water so that their children can go to school and do other things, and the appreciation is heartfelt. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Susan for the story of Saida.
Thanks, Josh. So, you know, that was the planned trip. And, you know, life brings you down certain paths and things happen unexpectedly. And that very first day that we went to see the Aldeas, it was a pretty rough road to get up there. And sure enough, our vehicle ended up with a flat tire. So that ended up changing our method of transportation to get to the other aldeas. And one thing led to another, but the very first aldea, I was giving out toys with Lindsay Smaka, and this cute little girl reached her hand out, and I noticed a very significant tumor on her face and thought to myself, wow, and thought it was a birth defect. And that was in my mind the rest of the day as we visited 2 more aldeas. So I want to introduce you to Saida. She's the young girl on the left. This picture was taken in 2015. In the middle is her mom, Marta, and then her little sister on the right is Lydia. And today, Saida is 7 years old. She'll be 8 on June 26th, and this is Saida. And so that's what I saw on that day, and apparently Josh had seen her as well as some of our others in the group. At the end of the day, we were tired. We were looking for our van, with the repaired tire. And as we were going down the street, some of the families from their little homes were standing above the street saying goodbye. And there was Saida with her mother, her father, and her little sister. And I think Josh and I saw her at the same time immediately and said, we need to do something. And one thing led to another, long story, but we brought her back to Escuintla with us, which was about a 6-hour drive. We connected her with the doctors that we have the relationship with at the Escuintla Hospital. You've met them, Dr. Sophia and Dr. Willie, and we brought her to the pediatric, Yeah, we brought her to the pediatric hospital there, and they admitted her. Just to bring you up to speed, it's taken a village. It's taken the Escuintla Rotarians, the doctors, some social workers, just a lot of people helping. The picture you saw earlier was the biopsy that was being done yesterday morning to determine whether it's benign or malignant. What we do know is that we believe it's a cyst due to the poor formation of 1 or 2 of her teeth that created a blocked sac. So this cyst has now grown to that size in a matter of 2.5 years. It's closing her air passage. Without help or intervention, she likely would not live the rest of this year. So it looks like very promising. She's a really brave little girl. We're getting lots of support and help. We're in dialogue with the Rotarians and the doctors currently in Guatemala. we believe it's benign, but we'll know in about a week or so. So, more to come on this case, but we're very excited that she's in seemingly very good hands right now. Thank you.
So just one closing note, we did tour the hospital. This is another one of our projects, pediatric beds. You can see here, this is one of the 9 pediatric beds delivered. Saida actually got examined on one of those beds, so it really brought the project home for us. And we have got a tour of the pediatric units. A lot of the support we've been giving to the hospital is showing up there. And we hope to see you again in 2023 when we do this project again. And in the interim, we're going to keep you informed about the Saida story and what happens to the resolution of this young woman. And we thank you again for your support.
Thanks, Josh. Great work, Josh and Susan. That just looks like a wonderful trip. Everyone saw those beds. That was from our club. So great work. It just is so wonderful to hear. I'm to introduce the speaker introduction. If you'd like to get to know Scott, sit next to him at the next meeting.
That's exactly what I wrote for him to say. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, one of my colleagues, a coworker at the City of Edina. Jeff Velasky joined the police department as a reserve officer in 1986, worked his way up through our department ranks for 2 decades. After serving as a reserve officer, he became a community services officer before working as an animal control officer. And let me tell you, animal control officers have the best stories of anybody. He's also served as a patrol officer, school resource officer, DARE officer, a member of our SWAT team, and our hostage negotiator before being promoted to sergeant and then our lieutenant, and ultimately to our deputy chief. And as of 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, our acting chief, as our current chief retires on Friday. So it's my pleasure to welcome Jeff Velasky. Jeff.
And Scott, no, being an animal control officer, we do not have a lot of stories. It was like, wow. Holy cow, I didn't know they were going to put that picture in there. Who's that guy? Younger version of me. Well, I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to be here today, just to briefly kind of touch bases with everybody and let you know what's going on in your community, that the homes that we call Edina, we work, we play, we live. As City Manager Neal said, I've been around a long time, believe it or not. I started when I was 16, so I'm younger than I know. But I've done a lot. I've had the opportunity to do a lot of different things within the community. As Scott was saying, I've done just about everything within the police department except for a canine officer. And at the time, just training and life circumstances, I just wasn't able to get a dog, but it would have been fun. But other than that, I've seen a lot of changes, a lot of growth, and a lot of stuff going on in the world today, isn't there? I better start my timer. They told me I had 45 minutes, and I thought, that's long enough. You know, that's not true. If you want to drop my name and number, my email, by all means, email me, give me a call. I'm always willing to answer my phone, talk with residents, talk with people from the community. I mean, that's what the police department does. We talk with folks, right? We meet, we greet. It's all about being out there and being the face of the community. For those that don't know, the Edina Police Department, we are the largest department within the city of Edina. I mean, public works and things like that. In the summer, they have a lot of staff for the summer help, but for full-time employees, the police department is the largest staff. For those also that know, we have a dispatch center just right up the road here, but we dispatch for Richfield Police and Fire and Edina Police and Fire. I don't know if a lot of people knew that. Several years ago, we also dispatched for Golden Valley, but they chose to leave Edina and went to Hennepin County. But there's been talk they may want to come back someday. We do have the room up there that we could handle another city really easily. Edina is a destination department. What does that mean, folks? That means that when somebody starts at the Edina Police Department, most of our officers stay and retire there. We hired one of our current sergeants came from Target Corporation, a life change in his 40s, wanted to try something different, and we asked him, why did you leave Target? So I left Target because all the years I was working there, I never made it to one retirement. And the reason for that was no one retired from Target Corp. They were either let go or they moved on to another department or another organization. So Edina is a destination department. Most officers that we've been hiring over the last several years come from other agencies. We're very good at stealing other officers, current officers from other agencies. Carver County, if anybody knows anybody from Carver County, don't mention Edina. They don't care for us much. We have a lot of their officers currently working for us. There we are, the smiling group of men and women of your Edina Police Department. Scott, that was taken several years ago, but some of those people have retired and moved on, but that's still pretty much all of us standing out front of our city hall. But I wanted to just talk about what's going on in the climate of policing, specifically within our city. Some interesting crime trends that I really wanted to let folks know what's going on. So this is back from 2018, your theft from autos, burglaries, and citations. Believe it or not, guys, we write a lot of tickets in Edina. And that's probably no news to most people sitting in this room, right? But as you look over the last several years, going to 2020, burglaries have stayed the same, but look at our citation numbers. We went from approximately 14,000 citations. We write more tickets than like cities of Bloomington and their major cities. The only one below us is like Minnesota State Patrol. And that's tear-offs. So somebody can get stopped for speeding and say their driver's license is suspended or they don't have insurance. So on that one citation, they could have 3 separate offenses, but it's one tear-off. You print the ticket, they get one. But then in 2020, we dropped to 5,000, and this year-to-date was from May 18th is when we ran these stats. Theft from autos are at 72, burglaries are at 71, but only 2,000 citations. And another one that I find really interesting, for me, I am in charge of our fleet being the deputy chief. So when my officers wreck a squad car, I'm the first one to get that report. I don't enjoy coming into the office on Monday morning and having what we call green forms or an accident report on my desk. But there's a reason why things have changed. Look what happened between 18 and 19 to 20 and to this year. 93 pursuits. In Edina, folks, we used to get, when I was a young sprout, 1 or 2 a year was big news. And now, last year, we had 93 pursuits. That's officers trying to attempt to stop somebody, and that driver or whatever is fleeing the officer, fleeing the police. And up to date, 28. Another one, catalytic converters. Has everybody heard about catalytic converter thefts? Does that look like it's become a problem for us? Yeah, huge. So we went from 25 to 47 and just not even into the second quarter this year, 44 this year already. Why do we think we saw these crime trends? What happened? What happened in the world, right? 2020 COVID hit, the world shut down, officers stopped doing traffic, they didn't want to have people run out and about, they weren't traveling to and from work. Biggest thing, the tragic death of George Floyd at the hands of Derek Chauvin. I hate to say it, I don't even want to call him a police officer because it's a scar on any man and woman that wears this blue uniform, period. Okay? Then the Brooklyn Center officer involved shooting. It couldn't have come at a worse time. From my aspect, being a deputy chief, that was a tragic accident. Almost plain and simple. That officer made a huge life-changing mistake for 2 individuals, tragic as it was. And the verdict and preparation. Was there a little bit of news covering what was going on down in the court office in Minneapolis? Yeah, it looked like a fortified something out of a TV movie. We had officers down there, not down in Minneapolis, but we sent officers up to Brooklyn Center. One of the things that the Southwest Metro has done, we've organized what we call a mobile field force. We have 69 officers, and I don't know exact number for other agencies, but with our sister agencies like Hopkins, Hennepin County, Eden Prairie, Minnetonka, Bloomington, where if something happens within the Southwest Metro corridor, we can call these officers up at a moment's notice and get what we call a mobile field force. These are the men and women in full riot gear, the helmets, they call it the turtle gear, to respond to something. But Brooklyn Center could not handle what they had going up in their city, period. They're on their own. If we would not have been there, if they wouldn't have got the support from State Patrol, DNR, Minnesota, the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, that PD would have burned to the ground, plain and simple. But I want you to rest assured, the Edina Police Department, we have never strayed from our mission. Never. The men and women wear this uniform proudly every day. They come in, they hold their heads up high, they respond to the community, what the community wants and what the community needs. A lot of the stuff that they've been talking about, police reform, the media, are, be careful with what I gotta say. A lot of the stuff they're saying in the media as far as police reform, we've been doing that for years. We look at that and go, that's nothing out of the ordinary. That is stuff that your police department of approximately 87 people here, or 57 now, patrol officers in uniform, licensed patrol officers, we've been doing that since I've been here for 30 years. Nothing has changed. So for us to hear this stuff, we just shake our head, go about our day, and come in and do what we're sworn to do, which is bottom line, what do law enforcement do? To protect and serve, right? But we need to listen to the community. We can do better. We are doing better. Things are changing both politically and through the Edina Police Department, working with our elected officials, stakeholders within the community, all of these folks trying to not reevaluate. If we're going to change the organization, we need to make sure we have, now what is the outcome? What are we reaching for? Research it. Let's look at it. Don't do a knee-jerk reaction and change something just to change something. How much time do I have, folks? Got a lot of time, don't we? All right. So I wanted to go back to some of that stuff we talked about. Like I said, I've seen a lot of changes through my 30 years. I was like Mr. Neal said, I started as reserve officer, which is a volunteer position, worked my way up. I've had the opportunity to see the changes in law enforcement. Yes, believe it or not, I'm an old guy. I've got several more years left in my career. Is there times that I would like to get out of this career? Yeah, with everything that's going on, it's getting harder and harder to recruit good qualified officers. When I got hired as a patrol officer back in 1994, there was approximately 400 applications for one job. Now, our last testing process, we got 77. And we moved 7 on to background. Out of those 7, I need to hire 4. And out of that 7, I've got 3 right now that probably are not going to pass background. So that means we're going to have to start hiring another process. And that's what we're looking at. But I want to rest assured we are not reducing our qualifications. Minnesota is very unique as far as Minnesota. I don't know if a lot of people know that. To get hired as a police officer in Minnesota, you have to have at least a 2-year degree. A lot of them now are coming with 4-year degrees or more. So you get your 2-year education, then you go to the police academy, we call it the skills portion, then you get hired by a local agency, you get hired as a police officer. Yesterday we had a young man, he had been with us for 2 years, came from the California Highway Patrol. He was actually an officer on the Golden Gate Bridge, talking suicide jumpers off the bridge. That was his full-time job, working the Golden Gate Bridge. He'd been all over California. Moved his family to Edina, he was here 2 years. Yesterday was his last day. He said, I saw what I'm seeing in California is happening here in Minnesota. My wife finally said, you're done being a police officer. And they moved out to Montana, Red Lodge, Montana. Had an opportunity to go out there, and they packed the bags, and he drove out there yesterday. And that's what we're seeing. My oldest son, he killed me. My oldest son is a police officer in southern Minnesota, in a small town. He's talking about getting out of law enforcement. He's been a police officer for 5 years, and he's been talking about getting out of law enforcement for what's going on. My nephew is a police officer in Fridley. He's also going back to school to try something else. That's some of the stuff. Just wanted to give a little background of what we're experiencing in the law enforcement community. But there's hope. There's hope. I don't want to leave everybody with doom and gloom. There's hope. There's people like Scott Neal, Mayor Hovland, myself, and the Edina Police Department. We are there for you. We will be there for you. We have not strayed from our mission, plain and simple. The training is best at top notch from anywhere you get. Rest assured, like I said, a lot of the stuff we had talked about, what's happening in the world, that's not happening in Edina. We are seeing spillovers from Minneapolis. As far as the pursuits, these bad guys know that Minneapolis-St. Paul is no longer doing any proactive policing. Edina is still continuing to do that now that the COVID is over, or not over, but as people are getting vaccinated. We're getting back to doing traffic. We're getting back to stopping people. Because it's one of the things we want in this community. You see a lot of squad cars. Most days on the street of Edina, you have 5 officers. You have a supervisor and 4 squads. But if those officers are out there doing traffic on Highway 100, France Avenue, it looks like a lot more, so they see that. I've had numerous times you arrest somebody and says, God, I know I shouldn't have been speeding in Edina. It's just, that's what our culture's become. All right. Do you guys have any questions, comments for me?
Are you seeing much carjacking in Edina?
No, but we had one down at 50th and France on the Minneapolis side. And that's the thing that we're seeing. The local police departments, for the majority of the local police departments, are still trying to do proactive policing. but it's gotten very tough as far as what legislations are proposing, things like that, those bills coming down the pike. They're talking about stopping for non-moving violations like tab registrations, things hanging from the mirrors. Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma bomber, was arrested for a traffic violation, folks. So many bad guys are taken off the street from a simple object hanging from the mirror or a simple tab registration violation, headlights out, things like that. That's good policing 101. But like I said, we're starting to see the spillover from Minneapolis. That's the reason for the pursuits. It's just fact of life, unfortunately, right now. Yes, sir.
So Edina had its own kind of racial incident, I don't know, was it 2017, where we had a detective stop and detain a African-American male really with, well, I don't remember all the facts and circumstances specifically, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. What did you learn from that incident? And I'm specifically interested when you show the statistics about how many tear-offs you write. Do you track demographics for the people you're writing tickets for, and are they reflective of our community makeup, or are they disparately being written to people of color?
The way our system is right now, our records management system, it's very tedious. We cannot go in there. We'd have to manually pull every one of those to figure out race. And we don't ask race on the street because you and I, what somebody may be identify as one race may not be accurate of what they are. So right now we cannot, but we are in the process of looking at a new records management system that will be able to track that. Because that question has come up a lot. Yep. Oh, Mr. Mayor.
Jeff, would you talk a little bit about the body cameras? And I maybe should have asked you this in advance, but we've been using body cameras since the first of the year, and your core reaction, the officer core reaction to having body cameras available for their use.
Yeah, the body cameras, for those that don't know, we usually wear them right here, but for me it's hard to wear when I'm wearing a tie. So I don't have mine on today. But I'll be honest, folks, when body cameras came out years ago, I was adamant, nope, I'm gonna retire before I have to wear one. I wear one every day now. When I make a traffic stop, I turn it on. Prior to not having that body camera, I would not make a traffic stop anymore. Just wouldn't do it. But now it's being recorded. The officers were the ones that were asking for it. They said, we need it, we're being recorded, let's get the whole story. So yeah, it's been a great asset. And for those that didn't know, we also have in-squad video cameras. We've had those for years. That's nothing new to us. So for being recorded, no big deal. In the back there, sorry.
Yeah, I had a question. If a neighboring community makes a poor decision, say, to reduce their police department, and you have taxpayers in Edina, if they had a question of, I don't want my dollars to go support or back up another department or city that makes that poor decision?
In Hennepin County, yeah, that is a good question. In Hennepin County, we have a mutual pact throughout all of Hennepin County, all your local police departments, that if they request mutual aid, we will send mutual aid. But there was a good discussion with city management as far as with Minneapolis. Were we gonna send officers down to Minneapolis? When they basically said, we don't want the police here. And the decision at the time was we were not sending anybody down to Minneapolis. Bottom line, folks, if an officer, he or she's calling for help, we're going. But yes, with the mutual aid packs and things like that, we would assist. Yep. Back there.
So you talked about so in terms of reform, you said that you haven't really had to do any, and that you don't want to have like a knee-jerk reaction, which I admire. But have there been any changes within the department, or have there been any talks of changes within the department?
Yes, there has been. We did the race and equity study back in, was it 2018? And in there were several recommendations, and out of that recommendations was one, putting our department policy on the website. That project was completed this last year, end of Q4. There was also where, when somebody is arrested, when you get arrested, your name is public data by state law, Minnesota state law. And we would always put out the weekly crime report. A lot of times the media would come and review that and write down what was happening, or who got arrested for what. And that was another recommendation out of that race and equity report, to take those names out of there. And we also did that. And everything that's on that list, we are working toward implementing those recommendations. I mean, when I say there's change coming, and we need to change, and I think for me, being a deputy chief, I think it's a great opportunity let's chart the course where we're going with that, right? Because things do need to change. We can't continue doing business the way we've been doing it. Yes. Sorry, I think I need to answer. Sorry, the one in the back and then.
Oh, I just wanted to make a comment that, I mean, we all know we live in a very polarized society, and I feel that people are either, you can support the police or you can support Black Lives Matter, and I believe that that's not true, that you can believe in both. And I just wanted to tell you personally, like, thank you for your service and to pass it along to the rest of the officers, and I appreciate what you guys do for the community.
That's very good to hear it from you guys. It comes. What's that? She wanted to say the country has become so polarized. It's either you support Black Lives Matter or you support the cops. You can't do both. And she's saying she doesn't agree with that, right? And she wants to say she's thanking the United Police Department for what we do. And I would agree with you. You can support both, right? I do. Why can't you? My bottom line is, folks, the way you want to be treated, right? Treat everybody the way you'd want to be treated, like your mom or dad. Just be a decent human being. I don't know if that's asking for too much, is it? And yes, then we'll be done.
I'm going to go along with that. My husband is a retired psychiatrist. He practiced in Edina, and many, many times he has said what a wonderful job the Edina Police Department did and does, and he particularly was thankful for the way that your officers handled mental health issues. And I have personally seen that done with young officers, being very kind, like in the emergency room. But my husband has constantly complimented the Edina Police Department.
Thank you.
Jeff, as a speaker, that was really great. I like what Edina does since I've been a lifelong resident of Edina. I got caught throwing a few water balloons, but...
yeah, I've done worse.
Yeah. But anyway, Rotary we've got a certificate here for you. The Rotary from Literacy and Peace to Water and Health. Rotary is a global network of 1.2 million problem solvers who unite to take action to create lasting change to better our world. In honor of your presentation, we will make a donation to Every Meal. It's an organization focused on providing weekend and other food gap programs to over 10,000 children in the Twin Cities metropolitan area.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You heard that?
Thank you,
And
sir.
again, and I like that 60 on 100.
Yeah, it's kind of nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Next, thank you very much, Jeff. Great job. Next week's speaker, Kit Welchin, applying emotional intelligence for a career success. Looking ahead, June 4th, we have My Very Own Bed. June 5th, free shredding, which will be great this Saturday. June 15th, we have virtual leadership. June 26th, Dunk the Gump.
We're not talking
Oh,
about
we're not talking about Catherine Gump, it's Tom Gump. Oh, thank you for clarifying. Okay, thank you. Hey, I'd like to thank everybody who's working off a podium, Becky and Fred for setting it up, and Mike Martney, just for future people who have to announce it, Mike Martney. Kelly, great work with your committee, fantastic. Paul, great work. Glad you're listening, Paul. Yeah, there you go. Enjoy it. Thanks for all your work and guidance with Moses. Josh and Susan, thank you for the wonderful update. You guys do great work. It was a very important work. And then Scott, thank you for bringing in a great speaker. Get to know Scott, sit next to him. Chief, not deputy, I'm just going to call you Chief. You're already there. Congratulations and well deserved. And thank you for keeping the city of Edina safe and showing a lot of courage. Thank you, Sam, for letting me run the meeting. And if you hated this meeting, just wait until I'm president. And just a quick little quote, evil is powerless if the good are unafraid. President Ronald Reagan. Meeting adjourned.